Hi, thanks for joining me on today's webinar of avoiding the 6 most common pitfalls when choosing an assisted living. I'm your host, Steve Miller, and my company, Frontita Assisted Living, has been owning and managing assisted living homes for the past 10 years. And we've learned a lot, and I'm here to share that information with you today. When you're going to place a loved one or you realize it's time to do it, it's not an easy process. There's a lot of new terms to learn. There's a lot of emotions and feelings to get through, and you want to make the right choice. You want to make it right the first time. And so I want to help you do that today. So I'm going to go through the 6 most common pitfalls that family members run into when they're placing a loved one in assisted living. And so I will just show the 6 main things here on the screen, but then after the webinar is over, you can go and download the full form with all the questions and all the details that you could take with you to either tour an assisted living or have beside you when you make a phone call to inquire about more information. So let's get started. And the first one, I have to look down here to get them up there, but the first one is price. When you place your loved one either in a senior apartments or assisted living or a nursing home, price is an issue. You'll either be paying for that placement by yourself out of maybe funds that have been saved up or a house that's sold or retirement funds. You'll pay a monthly fee or a yearly fee, depending how it's set up. And that fee comes with a lot of nuance to it. And so you want to understand what you're getting into. So the most common pitfall is falling for a low introductory rate. Don't get fooled by a low rate. It's that simple. You have to ask more questions. So what could go wrong? Well, a low rate may be, I'll just use the number, maybe $3,000 a month. Assisted living rates can go from $2,500 to $8,000 a month. It's all over the board depending on the level of care. But if you see a low rate that promises the earth, moon, sun, and stars, be suspicious. What you want to do is you want to ask to get things in writing and ask this question, what's included? Many times, family members at the end of the month will receive a bill with the base rate or the introductory rate, followed by many things that have been added on. What could get added on? Well, it could be help with bathing. It could be activities. Maybe your loved one joined the aerobics club. Well, there's a fee for that. Maybe they had to go to the doctor and get transportation. They charge a fee for that. All these things can be included, or they can be tacked on kind of a la carte. And so I've seen everything from being charged to go to a gardening club to if your family member wants to eat in the dining room, they get charged an extra fee. If they want to eat in their room, there's a fee. You just got to get it all in writing. Every home is different. Every home runs kind of on a different operating business plan. And so you want to understand it and get it in writing. You don't want to be surprised. The other thing you don't want to do is have a budget that gets busted. So you have a certain dollar amount and you say, well, my loved one can live here for 5 years with the funds we have based on the rate we were given. But if that rate is significantly more, their time they're able to stay there could be a lot less. And then you're going through placing them again and now without funding. And that can be a serious problem. So get it in writing and know what price you're actually going to pay per month. Pitfall number 2, let me pull it up here, is length of stay. There can be an assumption that when you place your loved one in a home or in a facility, that they can stay there till end of life. And I would say that is the goal of most operators of any kind of senior care solution. They would want you to stay there as long as possible. One, it makes business sense, but two, they genuinely care about your loved one and they want to see them stay as long as possible. However, things happen. Behaviors can start where your family member may have moved in and been a very compliant person, but then some medical issues happen and maybe they've become more aggressive, or they will not get dressed on their own, or they could be losing memory and have a lot of problems, and the place could say, we don't deal with memory care issues. You have to move. You want to be very clear on what types of health issues the home, the place you're placing them in can handle. Don't be fooled because thinking the condition that they're in today, your loved one, is the condition they will be for a long time, because their condition will change over time. And is the facility you're looking to place your loved one in able to take care of them through that place? And if they say, well, no, we can go to, if your loved one wanders, for instance, if they leave the home and they're not supposed to, we're not set up for that. You need to at least know, and that's okay. You want people in a good environment. It's not always the best that someone stays in the same home their whole life, because if their medical needs change, they need to be cared for properly. But you should know and have the expectation ahead of time. And so ask the question. Don't assume they'll be there for forever. Okay? Third thing, beautiful buildings. I don't know how many times I've talked to individuals that say, yeah, we just placed my mom in a home. It was kind of sad, but boy, the building is beautiful. It's a way for family members not to feel guilty to have dropped mom or dad off at a home and go back to their house, because where we've left mom or dad, man, it is beautiful. Beautiful buildings are meant to make family members feel happy, not necessarily the residents feel happy. Okay? Some of the best homes that I've seen where the residents are the best cared for are small homes that have only, maybe they have 8 residents, but they're socially connected. The caregivers are deep into their lives. They have really good medical care. And they're small, and they don't have all the amenities. A pool is nice. A workout room is nice. A coffee shop is nice. But not if you don't use it, and especially if you're paying for it. Don't be fooled by beautiful buildings. Some of the most beautiful buildings have the worst care, and they have the most citations. Not all of them, but there's a lot. So don't be fooled by a beautiful building. Get your loved one in a place that'll actually has the resources to let them, that they will use, and not that you're going to pay for a bunch of resources you won't use. Get them in a place where you're going to use what they have and what is offered. All right? So don't get fooled by beautiful buildings. Next, only talking to the tour guide. So we do this as well at our homes. When someone wants to take a tour, we schedule it at a good time, sometimes during lunch, and we'll make sure something good is cooking and it smells pretty, and we'll have cookies cooking and it smells good, and we'll give a tour, and we'll show you one of the apartments or rooms that we have, and it'll be decorated beautifully, and we'll walk you around, and we'll introduce you to caregivers that we want you to talk to. That happens everywhere. And there's really nothing wrong with it. It's just giving a good tour. We want you to have a good impression. But don't only talk to the tour guide. You can ask to talk to a lot of people. Ask to talk to the cook. Ask to talk to caregivers. Ask to talk to residents if you're allowed to. And oftentimes you'll have a care provider or an intake specialist that'll give you a tour and help you get placed into the home. But they're not the person you're going to communicate with ongoing. You'll get transferred over to a house manager or someone that's in charge of that. Well, ask to speak to that person, because that's who you're going to be communicating with. Oh, you have a nurse on staff. Can I speak to the nurse? You have doctors that come in and visit. Great. Can I speak to the doctors? Who's your activity aide? Can I speak with them? You want to make sure the people you're going to actually be interacting with and the person your loved one's going to be interacting with, you feel comfortable with. Don't just talk to the tour guide. Most tour guides are nice, or they wouldn't be a tour guide. You want to be careful on that. All right, let me put the next one, and that is information overload. Look, placing your loved one in a senior care solution can be tough. You're not only thrown with the emotion of having to make the move, then also learning all the jargon and all the acronyms. There's a CBRF, there is RCAC, and especially in Wisconsin, there's a lot of things. Let me just give you one term. It's ADRC. Okay? The ADRC is a government agency that is meant to help you walk through this. Aging and Disability Resource Center, ADRC. Start there. Look it up and talk to them. They will help you understand what type of facility you could look at. They can give you some recommendations on tours, but you can also go to the internet. Just go to the internet and look for reviews. And be fair. People can leave bad reviews that are not fair, and caregivers can leave bad reviews too. So look at all of them with an open mind and talk to the facilities themselves. But you can always start with the ADRC, and then you can always go online to see reviews to help. But it can be a lot of information, and so just don't be discouraged. Keep asking questions till you have clarity on where you should place your loved one, where you should look, and where you can possibly end up to go. All right. Now, lastly, and I saved this for last, is assuming activities are meaningful. So when you tour any home, especially I'm talking about assisted living, you're going to see on the wall an activity calendar. And that's going to be filled with the daily activities, sometimes 3 a day. It could be bingo and cookies and baking and aerobics class and painting and all kinds of things. Well, be aware that those activities don't always happen. The activity calendar that's up on the wall is a state mandated requirement to have up in every facility. You have to have an activities calendar. That doesn't mean activities are being done. So this goes back to your tour. You may tour with a tour guide and there may be activities being done, but you're allowed to come tour on a Saturday or a Sunday or an evening shift in the PM, and then look what time the activities are done and see if activities actually are happening. Most places are well-intentioned. They want them to happen, and I'll be the first to admit they are sometimes difficult to get done when different things happen within the home. But if there's a culture of activities, you will pick up on it. It cannot be just a poster on the wall. It's got to be in the lifeblood and the commitment of the home to make sure the activities are both meaningful and consistent. So when you're looking to place your loved one, ask these questions. Download this form, take it with you, read over it, and be informed when you go to place your loved one. I would love for you to place them one time and have them be there to the end of life, if that's possible. If not, at least like to have you place them with confidence that you've made the right decision. So at Frontita, one of our values is to help people regardless if it helps us or not. And so if you need help in placing somebody, you can reach us at frontitacare.com. You can talk to one of our managers, and we make it very clear in the culture of our company that if you call, we will help you, regardless if you end up at a Frontita home or not, because we can't serve everyone. We don't have capacity for everyone, but we'll help you. We'll help you get clarity. And so I hope you enjoyed this webinar. I'll be doing more in the future. Come back and join us again.